by.
Hi folks, Doc here. It's still winter. Spring can happen anytime now. Forget what the calendar says. It sucks outside. It's hanging right around zero, so the precipitation falling from the sky is either wet or frozen at any given moment. So I'm hanging out inside the shop today. Today we're working on Fugazi. I'm going to continue to get the drive system all back together after doing the 820 swap in there. Hopefully get the shifter stuff worked out, get the brakes worked out, and maybe get some new pulleys on. Stay tuned. Okay, so there's things we dig about the Murrays and things that we don't dig about the Murrays. I'm going to tuck you underneath here to show you one of the complaints. Now, I don't know if we can complain too loudly because it's not like they designed these things with the purpose of modification in mind. But they certainly did make it a little harder to do one of the things that we like to do. So while I just get myself situated under here, get the camera down into position, and show you what I'm looking at here. So we've got the engine pulley here, and we've got this plate here. And this plate here, which provides, amongst other things, mounting locations for these belt guides for the deck drive pulley. This plate here is lower in the chassis than the drive pulley. So if I can just tip you up here, you can see the drive pulley there up high above this plate. What this effectively means is that a pulley that is going to be substantially larger than stock isn't going to fit up there without a fight. It's not going to slide in between these 2 points here for removing and replacing the pulley. So sure enough, we can get the factory drive pulley down and out of the way. But putting a new one in, and I'm going to stick a 6-inch in because I'm happy with that size as far as belt grip goes, that's going to provide a clearance issue. So I'm going to remove this factory pulley unit and get myself up there with the grinder and cut this plate out a little bit more. Hopefully leaving myself enough room to get a 6-inch pulley in there. And we'll have to work on belt guides later. Okay, so what I've done here is I've removed the factory pulleys, and I just temporarily stuck my 6-inch on the shaft there and marked out with a silver colored Sharpie where that 6-inch pulley goes in relation to the plate. And you can see that it comes partway into this belt guide here and partway into that one there. So basically I'm just going to get up in here with my grinder and just hack some big chunks out of that. Now unfortunately, if I just tip the camera back a little bit more, you can see the steering pivot is there. And I'm not really crazy about the fact that I'm going to be weakening this plate, although hopefully not very substantially. If I'm inclined later on, I might reinforce it. Anyways, it's pretty much impossible for me to stick a camera under here and operate the grinder without threatening the camera, so I'm not going to film that. But you get the idea. Alright, a little bit of grinder-rama later, and you can see what I did to the plate. This curve here was kind of a natural result of me cutting from the center to 2 existing holes and missing the bolts, and that's good because I left a little extra material around where the steering pivot here is. Hopefully that'll remain strong enough. If I see any flexing out of it, like I said, I'll have to add something. I'll just back the camera down just a little bit more, so you can get a look at the overall clearances. And I just basically followed the frame rail on both the side cuts, which you totally can't see. This is awkward. Anyways, pulley time. These are the pulleys I selected for the jobs. On the right is the 6-inch pulley for the engine. On the left is the 5.5 for the transaxle. And as you can see, I got the weld-in hubs, 1 inch on the right for the engine, 5/8 on the left for the transaxle. And I have not yet welded them together, but I'm about to. So, same hubs I always use. There's a set screw under my thumb here. There's another one for the keyway. Just standard weld-on stuff. Got these ones from Princess Auto like I usually do. Okay, so there's the drive pulley in place. And what I've done there, you can see that I have to change contact tips. What you can see that I've done there is I put like 4 decent tack welds on the pulley. I never weld my pulleys in full, you'll notice, and the reason I do that is because I'm the kind of guy that A, makes changes after a while if I don't like something, and B, I'm freaking cheap. So if I decide to change that pulley, I can actually buzz those welds out, knock the pulley off, and I can reuse the pulley and the hub in different configurations, different pulleys, different hubs. And it's not permanently welded together as one piece, so if I decide I want to go bigger or smaller on the front pulley, I can take that assembly apart and reuse the hub. Next mission here is some belt guides. And what I'm going to do is pretty simple. I've got a nut and a bolt here, and I've just got that loosely spun on, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually tack weld those in place. I know my own hand is in the way here, but I'm going to tack weld those in place at the front of the pulley and one at each side here. And what that'll allow me to do is that'll have a nut fixed to the engine mount plate underneath and the bolt screwed in. And the bolt acts as a belt guide, and when I want to change belts, take the belt off, whatever, I just unscrew the bolts and the guides come off. Poof. You ever have one of those days where you should have maybe just not worked on your tractor? Yeah, so anyways, this was one of those days I should have just stayed in bed. Anyways, you know, I'm up there underneath the tractor and I can't see much of anything, and I'm reaching, just not having a good time. And twice in a row, instead of tacking the nut to the engine mount plate on the other side, I accidentally tacked the bolt to the nut, so that rendered two of them garbage. So I had to go rooting around for more, and then I had a hot weld booger shit under my sleeve. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that cleaned up. Anyways, I burnt the shite out of my forearm there. I had that booger rattling around in there, and yeah, so needless to say, when I did the last one, oh yeah, I got some more there. I did the last one, it's just like I get the frickin' thing tacked up in there and call it good so that I can get my sleeve off and survey the damage. Frig. Yep, just one of them days. So there we are. We've got the 3 belt guides in place there. I'm just trying to turn the camera enough so you can see them. And they'll keep the belt more or less where it needs to go. And first one wasn't too bad. The second one were a pain in the behind. Okay, so while I was ventilating the smell of seared flesh out of the shop and contemplating how much that frickin' hurt, I've been playing around with the pulley. You can see that I've got it in place there. Can't see much here, I suppose. But I had to do some, you know, test fitting on the shaft, put it all the way down, put it all the way up, play with it, drop the trans, raise the trans, you know, get the belt in alignment. And all I've been doing is just loosening off the trans bolts until it drops enough that I can sneak that thing in and out and work on it. So there we are there, we've got our final position. So I'm going to drop the trans down again just to get some Loctite on the bolts, tighten them all up in there. And then I can work on a belt measurement, work on the brakes, and work on whatever the hell else. One of the other things I did while I was admiring the smell of my smoldering skin is I took the factory Murray shift arm and I cut it and I welded in another 2 5/8 worth of flat bar stock to raise it back up to where it needed to be. So I'm going to bolt that on too. Alright, this horrible bastard's been fighting me every step of the way, but as you can see I got the new belt in. Yeah, I had to clearance the shifter a little bit, and as you can see, with the clutch fully extended, the stop just kind of barely touches the inside of the belt on the other run there. I'm probably going to end up reworking the clutch. I've heard that these Murray single pulley clutches aren't that great. I guess I'll find out. Probably end up building a double pulley clutch because they seem to be a better arrangement. I'll worry about that later. For now, I just want to get this thing running and driving. You can see that I've got my vent hose in there, and temporarily it just kind of runs up under the seat. I got to get a clamp on there. I think I have to buy some more clamps. I might be out. And I'm going to cap the top of the vent hose with a standard inline fuel filter just to keep the crap out of it. Now, just a note for you guys building these things. 2 notes, as a matter of fact. Number 1, if you go with a 6 on the front and a 5.5, or possibly even a 6 on the back, it might work for a 6 on the back. I chose a 5.5. I ended up using, I'll just zoom in, that was my belt measurement, 4L950 or an A93. I'm thinking that because of the way the clutch is resting right there, you could get away with a 6 in the back and use that same belt. The other point of note for anybody that hasn't done a pulley swap on their Murray yet, the belt runs on either side of the steering column. There's the bottom of the pinion gear right there. And in order to change the belt, you have to pull the steering column, but it's easier than you think. If I can just sneak in there, see the bottom bearing of the steering column there. I don't know if the camera's focusing. Anyways, there's 2 bolts there. Pull those 2 bolts and you can slide the steering column up and out of the way. So it's not that difficult. In the meantime, I've got everything connected and I'm going to slap the wheels on it and I'm just going to do a little bit of a test run. Somewhere in the process of all of this, burning the crap out of my arm and everything else, I also hurt my back. So I don't think I'm going to do any serious riding today, despite the fact that I want to. I'm just going to get this thing together, make sure everything more or less works, and probably call it a day. Alrighty then, in the true spirit of Murphy's Law, I just get this thing buttoned up, get the wheels back on, get the floor cleaned up enough to roll it out, and I hear this roar coming from outside, and it's raining, and it's coming down like cats and frickin' dogs. So, test drive's gonna have to wait. Son of a bitch. Just a fight from one end to the other. This has not been a good weekend for wrenching. So, I guess I'm gonna hold for a while and see if I can get at least a short test boot in today. Certainly hope so. Kind of excited. You know, I got the 820 in and got the new belt and pulleys and the whole shooting match. And I still have a few things I need to do to it. I need to get the vent line capped and clamped and zip tied out of the way of moving parts and stuff like that. I want to reroute the throttle cable because it comes a little close to the exhaust. And then I can move on to other aspects of the build. I want to have a small little toolbox somewhere. A bumper brush guard assembly for the front, maybe some side guards for my legs. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. In the meantime, I finally got this thing more or less where I need it to be able to concentrate on other things. So, let's see what happens with the weather. Damn! Alright, so I managed to get a 5-minute break in the rain, did a couple of quick laps around the yard, make sure everything's copacetic. It mostly is. I'm going to tighten down the detent set screw on the transaxle to give me a little bit more positive engagement in the gears, because right now it's still feeling a little bit sloppy. But other than that, things are shaping up pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the ratio so far. I think if my first gear ratio was any higher, that would make the really nimble, climby stuff just about impossible. So I think I'm going to keep the gearing here for now. So thanks for tuning in, and until next time, take care of yourself.